Hey guys, this is Jonathan Henderson with Pressure Washing Marketing Pros, and I have Joshua Brown of Brown's Pressure Washing. How you doing, my friend?
Far better than this guy deserves.
That is good. That is good. Every time I see you, you always have good energy, good vibes. It was good seeing you at the convention, and I know your speeches that you always have move a lot of people. And so that's why I wanted to get you on here today. I know that, guys, if you don't know, you've been living under a rock. Joshua Brown owns Brown's Pressure Washing, which we will get into. He's grown that to a multi-million dollar operation out there. And also, like I said, he helps others as well when it comes to Brown's pressure washing, which we will get into. Also, we talked about the As You Go network, Josh, that you are a part of, where you guys help, basically what do we call it? Church in the trades, basically.
You can say church in the trades. It's a mobilization of kingdom entrepreneurs and business owners that desire to create jobs, make disciples, and serve the city.
Perfect, perfect. And then in a month, right? In a month, we have your podcast that's coming out, Dudes Without a Dad's Movement, correct?
Yes, the Dudes Without Dads podcast, where we teach men how to be the dads they never had. And it's kind of I guess we'll get into it in a minute, so I'll keep
Yeah.
quiet.
No, 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 of course. And so, yes, guys, we're gonna talk about those things. We're also gonna talk about how Josh was able to grow his business. We're gonna talk about servitude to your community and how you can make a true impact, through your exterior cleaning business. So, Josh, before I get started, right, or before we get all of this, and before we start talking about the technical things, let's talk about your background and how you got started in the exterior cleaning space and also some of the things that help shape you who you are today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on the show, Jonathan. You're excellence in motion. So thank you so much for having me here. My story really does start as being a former drug dealer, pothead, high school dropout. And my dad, which was 21, offered to pay for my abortion, and my mom was 15 years old. And so my mom originally chose to say, okay, I don't want to lose my boyfriend. Her dad already went to prison for things he was doing to her
Hmm.
when she was 13. And so she had nobody. And the last thing she wanted to do is lose her boyfriend. And then after a week or two went by, she said, I just can't do it. And by the grace of God, my mom gave me life, and we grew up on the streets of Nashville and places in Alabama and Kentucky. A lot of childhood trauma, a lot of darkness. But at the age of 20, I come to know Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior, and it changed everything through a car wreck. So we won't get into all that. But I basically got a GED, pastoral ministries degree, Christian counseling, 22 years of vocational ministry experience. And then the day came where I've just got burnt out of working inside the church and got tired of taking care of other people's kids and dealing
Hmm.
with politics. And I felt released. I felt like it was okay. So I did what anybody would do. I Googled top five businesses to open for $5,000 or less. Now I'd use ChatGPT or get some video courses or some coaching. But that's where the pressure washing business began. And I had a little Honda Odyssey van, stuck some stickers on it. A friend of mine named Parker's Pressure Washing in Winston-Salem, helped me build a trailer. And in year one, we did 225,000, year two, 443, year three, 700, and year four, 900,000, over $900,000 worth of work while I was full-time on staff at a church. And that's kind of how the story begins.
I heard that. I know that you scaled to seven figures still working full time. I don't know. I tell a lot of people, you gotta just sometimes hustle harder. So when you were out of that Odyssey, right, back in 2016, what was one of the biggest challenges and hurdles that you had? Because I know people that would be listening right now, they're like, okay, this dude, how, because some guys struggle to get to 225,000 after like 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? Like they'll stay under 250,000 for 3, 4, 5 years and they wonder why they can't surpass that. And it seems like for you within 4 to 5 years, you got to seven figures, and a lot of businesses don't do that. I mean, 95% of businesses in America are under 1 million revenue. So what do you think was attributed to your rapid growth that you had year over year?
Well, it'd be wrong for me not to say God was super kind to our business and gave us a lot of favor. And that is one thing to process.
Hmm.
But outside of that, mindset is a massive conversation. I think working in the church for over 22 years, I come to realize that there was nobody better than me, which was really hard from a dude who grew up in, really the ghetto, with no dad to ever affirm me, tell me he loves me, I had any value. So, to be honest, when I started my career journey, I didn't think I was good enough to work at McDonald's.
Hmm.
I wouldn't apply to Mickey D's. I was only KFC was the company I applied for,
Uh,
or Arby's or Burger King, or I thought all the rich kids worked at McDonald's, not me. And so, if anybody's out there thinking about why they can't scale, your market can play a role. So if I was living in the middle of who knows where, I may not ever been able to scale, but I lived in a decent market. And then my mindset was free from this idea that anybody was better than me. I see everybody as equal, and so the mindset is there. And then the last thing I will say, without going too deep on it, is my personality. I don't like doing things alone. I like going on journeys with people. And so the way I talk is always casting vision of doing something together. And so it was never about making money. It was never about being the best pressure washing company. It was about, hey, let's go make an impact while we make an income. Let's be difference makers when we're in our city. Let's show up and pray for people. Let's love people. And then when people showed up at my house, we had devotions before we talked about who's on the schedule today. And so it was more about purpose and less about pressure washing is kind of the secret here.
Okay, then, and so talking about your story and who you are, and I like where you went there to where a lot of it is not you had to become that person or at least experience those trial and tribulations in order to go ahead and reach those other levels. And I think that sometimes people don't go through those things, and sometimes God does bless us, with things that we think are the end of the world or those challenges, but that actually shapes us to be the person that allows ourselves to get those blessings. You know what I mean? And so, how do you think that your childhood growing up and like, how you were beforehand, how do you think that shaped you for navigating entrepreneurship?
Um, Childhood trauma is the perfect is the perfect course to prepare you for being a business owner, because you learn how to make it through any situation. And a lot of people, when bad things happen, they get stuck or they think God's against them. But in reality, we live in a broken world where lots of bad things happen. Well, how you respond when bad things happen don't reflect God, it reflects you. And so I think from brokenness in childhood, it prepared me to figure out how to solve problems. And that's the number one thing that a business owner is going to be doing is solving problems every single day of their lives from that day until they don't have it anymore. And then being the new kid at school, I'd go to three different schools in one year. And so the kid on the bus that would be, hey, can I sit here and get to know people? When you move around a lot, you learn how to get to know people and you're not afraid of chatting and getting to know other people and letting yourself be known. So I think all of those created a mixture which helped us become who we are today and still be in business,
Hmm.
thankfully.
Yes, of course. And so now, like for what you're doing now, I know that you guys, like I said, as I said earlier, you guys run a multi-million-dollar operation. And so that means you got a lot of people on your team in that. And also, you guys are opening up new locations, which I know you just said you had a new location, right? That you just recently opened up as well. And so, can you tell me a little bit about like how important it is in order to lead by example when it comes to building a team, or what's the most important aspects that you've seen from building a team, I should say? That's a better way for me to word that. What are the most important aspects that you've seen from building a team, in an exterior cleaning business or just a trades business in general?
Hmm. I would start with being a servant leader. Uh,
Hmm.
and we're talking about language now, which I'm not a highly educated man. My education is Tupac, Eminem, Eazy-E, and Dr. Dre. And so when we get into this conversation, it's really what does it look like to show up to serve other people wherever you show up at? And to me, that's more attractive than showing up telling everybody what to do, where to go, and how to do it. It's like show up as a servant leader where you get to know people's story. And when I use the word language, it's we never use the word employee. If I hear it, it's a cuss word in our company.
Hmm.
And nobody's your employee. You're not Pharaoh. I'm not Pharaoh. They're not slaves. We're a team and we work together to provide for our families. So the motivation is I always invited people over to my home. I've heard business owners say I wouldn't invite anybody over because I don't want them to see what I have. And if they see what I have, they might want what I have and think there's something that I'm not treating them good enough. And I'm like, I wouldn't hire anybody that I wouldn't want to come over and hang out as family. And so what I would say is hire family, hire people that you want to hang out with, people you would trust with your kids, hire friends, hire A players and serve them. Don't look to see what you can get from people, look and see what you can give to people. So those are some of the elements.
I completely agree with what you're saying, Josh. I mean, even for us, on our team, I said employees right now, but you're right. I tell everybody on my team, I'm like, don't say, even for themselves, when they call themselves like certain thing, I'm like, no. Even for our people that may be overseas, right? And they're like, oh, well, just I'm like, no, we're a team. We're all team members here that serve each other. And so I think that you're right, where you just have to try to attract people that fit your culture and where you're trying to go, right? If you're a group of hard hustlers that work 14 hours a day, right? Attract those type of people. If you guys are more easygoing, like I know businesses that have grown to seven figures where those guys are easygoing, you know what I mean? And they go snowboard, they do different things like that all the time, right? And they have like Fridays off and just flexible kind of schedules with that stuff. But that fits their narrative, you know? And so, or, the type of people that they're looking for. So I definitely agree when it comes to that. Now let's talk about some of the services and some of the things that you guys do when it comes to your community. So I know that you guys have programs like washing for windows, where you turn like everyday services into ministry. What advice would you give to business owners who want to like weave like social impact into their business model? Because I know a lot of people, when I hear them talk, I wouldn't do this for free, or they're always looking for some kind of incentive or compensation for something that they do. But if somebody's looking to give back for free or to just give back and serve the community, what can they do?
Yeah, there's it needs to be organically to you rewarding. And so in year 4 or 5, I had a phone call from Josiah LeBeau, and Josiah called me up and said, I have a baby chick. Don't step on it. And what that means is he has an idea and he doesn't want me to squash his idea. He wanted me to chew on it, let it grow a little bit. And he said, Josh, this past week I was washing this lady's house. And as I was washing it, she told me that at the very beginning of the conversation that she didn't want me to wash the ramp leading up to her doorstep.
Uh-huh.
She said her husband had passed away and they don't need it anymore. So as he's washing the house, it's starting to rain. He's got his like little rain hoodie on. He's got a hat on, washing the eaves, and something said to him, give the house wash away for free. And the first thing he did was he said to himself, will Josh care? This is an important leadership conversation when it comes to proximity. Do the people who work with you know how you would behave in any given situation? And do they have the power to behave according to what you would do in any given situation? And he said, no, Josh won't care. So he made the choice to give out a house wash away for free without asking. And I'm not like, that's exactly what I would have given if he would have called and said, what do I think? He knew what I would say. Yeah, whatever. If you feel it's right, do it. That's this is the conversation of discipleship. When we talk about you teach what you know, but you reproduce who you are, it's do your kids, does your community, does your team represent you wherever they are, or do they represent themselves, or are they afraid to make decisions? So he went forward. He said, Mrs. Jones, we're done with it. She said, Miss Jones said, thank you so much. Let me get the money. She grabs this baggie with dollar bills and change in it, takes it to the front door. And Josiah said, no, this one's on us. He starts crying. She starts crying. And it was such a powerful experience. Josiah called me and said, shared it with me and said, let's wash every widow's house in Nashville for free. And I squashed his little chicken. I said, we will go out of business trying to wash every widow's house in Nashville for free. I said, but I'll chew on it. That's my language for I'll think about it. So I was on a morning run. And by the end of the run, I called him back and I said, just because we can't do it for everybody doesn't mean we won't do it for somebody. And the idea is do for one what you wish you could do for everybody. Just because you can't do it for everybody don't mean you shouldn't do it for somebody. So if you're listening and you have a business, what's something you can do for somebody every once in a blue moon that just blesses people? And we have just been we're now known in our community as the company that washed widows' homes in Nashville for free.
You unpack so many things, and I got so many little gold nuggets. Like, what would you do for one person that you wish that you could do for everyone? I like that, to be honest. I'm gonna go ahead and use that myself as well whenever I go about my daily life, because we always want to exemplify and be an example. And so I really like that quote that you just said right now in terms of like just do, like, even though you can't do it for everybody, do something that you wish you could do for everybody for a particular person, because then they might have that same mentality, right? And then do that with another person, do that with another person, and then everybody's doing that for everybody and everybody's serving each other. So it's kind of like a cause and effect, right?
You got it, brother.
Yep. And so you talked about you were running, you know what I mean? And I know that you are an avid runner, right? So you're an avid runner. Like, what kind of practices do you have yourself that and that help you, stay mentally strong? Because, we're gonna talk about father, you being a father and your kids and the Dudes Without Dads movement here soon. But, I know that you say you run 40 plus miles a week.
No, it depends on the season. It is. And right now I'm in a season where I'm sacrificing what I love so I can spend more time with my wife in the morning. And so my wife doesn't have the same energy and same desires that I have, but she does have a little bit. And so, so for right now, this is what my morning routine looks like. By 3:30 a.m., I'm waking up and I'm drinking about 31 ounces of water and I'm putting Celtic salt in it. And then I'm brewing some black coffee. And then I go get on a mat and I go outside. I get on a mat with my coffee and I listen to God's word. I've got a group of guys that I'm going through the word with. I'm praying, I'm meditating, and I'm stretching for about 45 minutes on the ground underneath the stars or the moon. And I'm just giving gratitude, man. I'm a dude that's grateful to still be on the planet. And there'll be a day I'm not, but for now I am. And then I get up, get my shoes, get a workout outfit, and I spend about 45 minutes to an hour working out or running before I wake my wife up. And um, and I'm usually listening to a book on faith, family, fitness. And when I use the word fitness, it's mind, body, and spirit and business. And so I'll listen to whatever I need to get stronger. Secrets of Success podcast, one of the greatest podcasts of all times. If you haven't listened to it, it's so good. And then once I'm done, I go wake my wife up and then we walk or run for about 45 minutes. And then I come home, start making breakfast for my kids. And I work on memorizing one piece of scripture a week with one of my kids or with my two little boys. And so that's kind of the rhythm of what I want every day to look like. And I really deconstructed this thought. If I could live a perfect day every day, what day would that look like? And this is the elements of the perfect day every day.
Okay, then, and so I always like to ask this question, especially for people that are very successful, just like yourself, when we talk about that. Like, do you believe in work-life balance, or is there another way? Because I know there's some people on one side of the coin that believe in work-life balance, and there's other people that believe in work-life integration, right? And you'll hear all these different terms for it, but how do you navigate these things? Because I know that you're, as you just said right now, you make time for your wife, you make time for your kids as well, and so. How do you manage that? Also running multi-million dollar like companies, like how do you manage that?
I don't know if I wouldn't use the word work-life balance because when you're a mission-driven individual, which I'm telling you, like this weekend, I probably worked 20 hours this weekend, and it's all about mission. I'm trying to think through the As You Go network and building a coaching community and creating portals and helping individuals grow their business. And I'm thinking about Dudes Without Dads podcast and how can we make an impact inside the lives of dudes who never seen what a father looks like? Like, how do we solve these problems? So when you have this going on inside of you, that's what fuels you. You're not thinking about, well, I need to, I don't know, it's just a mission, it's a mission.
Understandable. So I feel the same way. I really do. I'm not just trying to even just say that because I feel like if you are on the mission and everybody has that same congruency of mission, like your wife, your kids, and they all know what you're trying to go ahead and do, they're gonna understand. They're going to go ahead and make sure that you fulfill that mission because this I know this is just our opinion, but and it could be the opinion of several other people, but in my opinion, the greatest mission that you can have is the mission that God put you on here for, right? Over any other thing that you can do. You know what I
Purpose.
mean? Like over any other thing that you can do, like I think that is the number one thing that you have to fulfill as a man. Even for the listeners out here that don't believe, like I just feel like you have a mission that you have to do, and I think that always, especially as a man, comes first. That's just my opinion though. But I like what you said about that.
Yeah. Um, my family is part of the mission. And
Uh-huh.
I I can't tell somebody else what it looks like to be a good husband or a good father if I'm not being one. And
Uh-huh.
so I date my wife, I date my kids, I do fun things with them. We create experiences. It's all part of the mission, and either everything matters or nothing matters, but we have to determine if anything matters or not. And then if things do matter, let's get to things that matter and let's quit wasting time on things that don't make a difference inside of anybody's life.
No, understandable. Understandable. So I want to segue now into the As You Go network. You know what I mean? And before I preface, before we go in on the As You Go network, I want to preface that with the fact that right now you guys at Brown's Pressure Washing have scaled beyond Nashville. You know what I mean? So you guys have scaled to other locations that we had talked about as well. And so when it comes to, obviously you building a team, knowing all of that, you probably come across people that don't have systems in business. They don't have the business acumen in order to go ahead. Because once you start to learn those trials and tribulations and you start to learn the systems and the processes, it's easy to go ahead and replicate those in other areas as well.
Mhm.
So the As You Go network, as you
Mm,
know, empowers a lot of tradesmen in that sense. Can you talk about that? And can you talk about the
mm,
biggest struggle that you see with guys that are in the
mm.
trades when they first start off with not knowing what to do with the information that is available to them?
Yeah, well, Ken Blanchard wrote a book um, that teaches a leadership principle, and Ken Blanchard's like Zig Ziglar days. He mentored John Maxwell, and for anybody that's listening, that's thinking about developing leaders or their culture, you have to understand that there's steps in developing either a system, a culture, or individuals. And we have to understand that everybody starts off as a novice, where you get a lot of excitement, but you don't have any clue what you're doing. And the needs and the development of someone that's novice at something is different than someone that's a master Jedi. And then there's stages that are all the way up that you have to learn how to coach and how to love and encourage and along the way. So, for example, we have individuals who start at Brown's Pressure Washing and they're like, let's go. I'm going to start my own business. You've seen business owners who come in, they're like, I'm going to start my own business. I'm not going to work for so and so anymore. And they'll bleep or use a cuss word if they want to. I don't know. But they start their business. Well, after 6 months, they're like, yeah, I don't think God wants me to do this business, bro. Yeah, I think I'm going to quit. I think I'm going to tap. And it's like 80% of businesses go out of business within the first 5 years. Well, why? It's not because God didn't want you to grow a business. It's because you gave up. You got hit in the face and you didn't know how to recover from it. You went through some financial challenges. You went through some personal challenges. And that is all part of the process. If you wouldn't have quit, the reason Rocky is Rocky because he keeps getting up after he gets knocked out. You look at the fight or Creed, is more relevant to
Yep, yep.
most of our community now. You don't get up, you don't quit. And that's the thing that I would say is you never stop getting better as an individual, as a business. And when you have hard days, call somebody that can say, hey, I've been there too. And this is normal. Yeah, the leads dry up every summer and you feel like deer don't exist and they're never going to come again. But just wait till October. They're going to start walking by your tree stand. You're going to start seeing them at the side of the road. The rut's going to happen. And you're like, I believe again. There are deer in the woods. And it's just life, man. And so it's understanding that the journey is novice, apprentice, journeyman, and a master. And you learning how to become a master is part of the process of the struggle and the journey. And we all experience it. Just don't quit, don't give up. Surround yourself with people that have been through some things so they can help you get through some things.
That is awesome. So tell us a little bit about the As You Go network then, and what you guys do to impact and help. Because I know that you're the coach in that, or the leader for the exterior cleaning pressure washing sector of that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I want you to imagine right now someone jumps on YouTube and they end up typing in starting a pressure washing business. How many different who's are going to pop up?
Oh, a bunch of people.
A
I
lot of
You said what? I'm sorry.
a lot of great people are going to pop up, and you're going to see a bunch. You're going to be like, man, which one do I choose? You know, Austin's phenomenal, Adam's excellent, like Mike is so good, and it's like, how do I know where to go? And what if you typed in become an electrician or become a plumber? Poop, scoop and poop. Have you seen this business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to start a poop and scooping business.
Yeah.
And it's like all these things come up. Well, all of them are service-based businesses. Imagine coming into one community as you go network, find coaches, courses, content, and community that's all inside of that one industry. Whatever trades it is, we help you find the one that's right for you with your story, your skills, and your market. And then we pair you up with a coach and a community that helps you start and scale your business. And
Mhm.
so it's powerful. You oversee a marketing company, right?
Mhm.
Are you part of any masterminds or any strategic talk to me about it?
Three. I'm part of three. So one that I'm a part of is called Seven Figure Agency, right? So it's a bunch of seven figure agency owners and people that are trying to scale to seven figures that I'll actually be out there next month, So we all meet three times a year in Miami, and we'll meet for 3 days, and we'll just continuously, brainstorm with each other. But every single week we have coaching calls. We have specialty coaches that we can just get on their calendar at any time. We have our own coach that we get assigned to. So not only do you have your own coach, you have a specialty coach too. And so a lot of these people have already been through the journey, have already been through the things that you go through. And I think what I tell people when it comes to coaching, I think the biggest thing that coaching can really give you is that you don't feel like you're alone. Because sometimes when you're going through those challenges and those struggles, you think that those are just so unique to you, and you're like, "Oh, dude, like this is just unique to me." And then you hear somebody, like I remember, like one of my coaches, she's actually here in Tampa, and she's running like a 5-7 million dollar like agency a year, right? And when I talked to her about, like, we had a little round table. We were talking about, like, we call it I forgot what it's called, but basically like you share what your biggest struggle is, and everybody at the round table will like give you their idea of what you should do. And so she was talking about her issues, and I was like, man, like she had gone through like she's like, I'm going through a lawsuit with my old personal assistant. Our operations manager was stealing money from us like this, and I thought this and the other. And like, but the way that her energy was, she was just still like we're still gonna get through. You know what I mean? Like we're still gonna get through this. We're still gonna have this. And so it really put in perspective. I'm like, am I at that point where I can even handle those type of challenges with ease, or with the same mindset that she has? And so when you talk about that journey of like journeyman, apprentice, and these different levels of things, you just truly have to become that person that, you have to go through those things. Because I really asked myself, I said, I don't know if I'm that type of person yet, that would be able to handle that with ease, right? I'd be able to handle it, don't get me wrong, but she's been through enough stuff on the way to her journey where that stuff is kind of like child's play. And I look at some of the stuff I used to look back then, where I'm like, man, that was such a big deal to me 3 years ago. I look at it now and I'm like, oh, this is just an everyday, like we're good, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this problem would mess up my day 3 years ago, but now it's like it's a blip in my day, right? And so
that's so
I think
good.
you're right about that and that. And then I'm also part of some home service coaching groups as well, because I want to be able to learn that aspect of the business for our clients too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I also want to learn that aspect about what they're going through. And I used to be a part owner of a home service business, a junk removal one back in 2023. And I sold my stake out of it in 2023. We started in 2019, but I sold my stake out of it in 2023 to focus all on our clients for marketing. But that taught me a lot too, but I still want to continuously learn and be boots on the ground and learn, right? So Austin Davis, one of our clients, really good guy. You know what I mean? Had dinner with him a couple months ago when he came out here to Tampa. And so that was just it was just really good to just kind of meet people in person. And also when you're part of these other kind of like trades groups and masterminds, I know I'm going a little long-winded. I'm sorry, Josh, because you're the star here right now, you know. But going to these trade groups and all of that, it really teaches me about what our clients go through, what we can do to help them, and what I can do to help them as well. And just like for yourself, you been through that stuff. So yes, I will always be a big proponent of coaching all the time.
And well, the As You Go network is designed for kingdom-minded entrepreneurs and business owners looking to create jobs, make disciples, and serve the city so they can make an impact and an income and leave a lasting legacy. And my goal is to have a community coach in every single trades business where homeschool families can come in, where someone that's searching on YouTube can find, okay, they have plumbing. I'm going to go down this boot camp, this mastermind, whatever it looks like to help them be successful. But if you surround yourself with great people, you will over time become great yourself in whatever you do.
Hmm.
I
No,
believe it.
no, I definitely agree with you when it comes to that. And so also tell us a little about the Dudes Without Dads podcast that you're gonna have too, because I think that sheds a big light because in the exterior cleaning industry, as you know, when you said that you Googled, hey, what business can I start for under $5,000? I feel like for the exterior cleaning industry, it's one of the easiest industries to get into to start, but one of the hardest to scale, you know? And so sometimes I feel like I have certain advantages over others. And what I mean by that is that like I grew up in a two-parent household. We were like upper middle class. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, man, if I don't use the advantages that I had in my own life,
Mm.
to go ahead and try, go ahead and do this. Like, can you tell me a little bit about what that podcast is going to be about? And I know we touched on it a little bit, but now we can expound upon it more. Can you tell me about like that role of a father and how that has affected your business, your mindset, like just all of that stuff? And can you talk about that?
Well, first of all, 55% of homes right now are single mom homes, which means the majority of dudes that are going to show up in our companies in the trades business, the majority don't know what it even looks like to have a father inside the home. And then if you look at the impact of a lack of a father, our prisons are filled with fatherless dudes. Do you know the percentage of dudes in prison without a father?
I'd say it's in the 70%. I would say
93%.
93%. Okay.
93%. And I was at this guy's house in Florida, and there's a guy named Brandon Lake. He's a famous singer. His dad's name is Mac Lake. And I saw Mac, the way that he treated his wife when I'm around the table, and I'm like, I could literally cry about it. I'd never seen a dude show such honor and tender care towards his wife than when I watched Mac treat his wife with such honor and care. And when you don't know what it looks like to be a great husband, when you don't know what it looks like to be a great man, when you don't know what it looks like to be a great father, you can only reproduce that which you've seen or what you've received. And I want to help dudes that have never seen a great dad see great dads. I want them to become great fathers. I want them to become great husbands. If I were to say, if you were to ask me what's one of the greatest problems inside of North America culture, it's the fatherless issue. We just don't have great examples of dads. And dudes that have dads, they're distracted or destructive. And if you think about the power and influence, was your dad a pretty solid? Did he like say, I love you, you're smart, you're intelligent, I believe in you?
He might even watch this with this. I will say this. I love my dad. I gotta call him tonight. We've had and he's like my best friend now. But growing up, we had our own tumultuous, you know what I mean? Like relationship, right? We had our own tumultuous relationship. But he's like one of my best friends now. But no, like in our household, we were like macho men, right? So we don't say I love you to each other. Like we know we start through action. Like I won't say that I didn't feel like he didn't love me because of course there was things that he did. Like he provided a roof over my head. He did these certain things, but to hear the words "I love you," no, we like for us, that's just not how we grew up. Like the men in my family, I guess like that is just not what they say, right? We don't say I love you, all of that. It's like you got a roof over your head, you got this, you got that, and there was things that he was doing that I realized looking back at it now that I used to hate when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like I'm seeing all my friends get these cars and I'm like my dad's like I'm not gonna buy you one. Like you're gonna have to work for it. Like I'm not gonna buy you one. You're gonna have to work for it. And I'm like sitting here like, man, he just wants me to struggle, do all of this stuff, but I didn't realize it made me to the person that I am today with everything that he was doing in my life, right? So I love my dad, and I know my dad loves me, but yeah, yeah, we didn't grow up in that kind of environment though.
It'd be interesting, and you may already know the story, but you find out the impact his dad had on his life.
Mhm.
And if you trace the tree back far enough, you end up discovering we pass on the lack of identity to whoever's in front of us. And, my wife had the John Wayne of dads. He provided, worked at tobacco and NASCAR on the weekends. But to hear, I love you, you're beautiful, you're valuable, dude, that's what dads speak over their kids. But if you never saw that, you don't know that. Even being just a good man, to follow through on the things you say you're going to do, who does that? People make promises, they don't show up. Well, real men do what they say they're going to do. They follow up on their promises, they keep their word. And so, long story short, dudes without dad, I'm going to share stories of dudes who grew up without a dad and the impact it had. And it creates father wounds, identity issues, and many times disorder. Well, there's also a transformation that can take place as you get older as well. So we're going to share those stories and make visible great human beings that end up teaching dudes without dads how to be the dad they never had, because I think it's the mission worth fighting for, personally.
Awesome. I agree with you as well when it comes to that. I really do. I really do. So I appreciate you for telling that story. So I got a couple more questions for you because for my super analytical guys out there, they're gonna want to know, man, some information from you. Like you don't got to give the whole treasure chest out here, right? But they're gonna want to know some business stuff from you as well when it comes to that. So I'll kind of lead off with, close with that kind of stuff. And then dudes without dads, let us know when that comes out because I would love to link that in our description at some point. And then as you go network, if you can go ahead and provide, that will be provided for you guys in the business, description on the podcast and on the YouTube channel if you guys are watching on those places. So you guys can have that. Now, one thing that people have a hard time with, I know we're like going totally like 180 now, right? But is like just the who not how aspect, right? Because I know that right now you're able to do this podcast with me, Josh, and like you look like you're chilling, man. Got the cactus, the background, got all of this stuff, just chilling. Well, yeah, I know you're not chilling. I know you're a busy man, but but how what is the principle of the who not how? Especially, do you think that it can be implemented at any stage you're at in your business? Because I know a lot of guys have a difficult time, going ahead and hiring people. Tell me a little bit about the who not how, because I know you're big on that.
Yeah, so that book is written by Dan Sullivan. Have you heard of this book already?
Yes, I read it. I've read it. Yep.
Yeah, so Dan Sullivan wrote the book, but I was practicing that prior to knowing that there was a book called Who Not How. And I think pride, arrogance might be at the root of why we don't ask for help.
Hmm.
Are you in any AI masterminds?
So like a seven-figure agency is kind of like an AI mastermind. Yeah. So we talk about we have AI people in there as well. But so I'd say yes.
Yeah. So inside the AI mastermind, if I were to break it all down, they're trying to get you to think like this. Think AI first. Whenever you have a question, whenever you have a problem, they want you to solve it with what?
AI.
They do. There's a prompt for that. Is probably the new slogan for AI. There's a prompt for that. And if you don't know the prompt, ask AI what the prompt is for that, and you'll figure it out. Well, who not how's that same mindset? There's a who for that. Every time you say, I don't know how to do that, there's a who for that. And when we're individuals, we don't think like an organism. We think like an individual that just is trying to solve problems versus what happens when I find out what you're great at, I find out what Austin's great at, I find out what Mike is great at, I find out, and then say, why don't you just do what you're great at, and I'll do what I'm great at, and we'll do that thing together.
Mhm.
Because everybody has different giftings and skills and abilities. Learn what yours is and stop doing everything. I don't mow my yard. And I hate mowing. There's guys that love mowing, and that if they retired today, they just want to get on a John Deere tractor and mow yard. I hate mowing. I hate mowing. But there's a who for that. And why would I want to prevent somebody else from doing what they love? Guess what I want to do? I want to interview dudes without dads. I want to invite kingdom-minded entrepreneurs and business owners to create jobs, make disciples, and serve the city. That's my thing. So whenever you're trying to solve a problem, don't think how, think who knows the how. And now with AI, there's a lot of solves with AI. But that's kind of the mindset on it is reproduce yourself in areas you're not good at, and you're actually doing other people a disservice by not giving them the opportunity to do what they're good at.
I 110 I agree with you 110%. And I think that what I even tell my team right now is that we're in that goal. We're actually in the perfect age right now. We're at that perfect time with the AI. And why do I say that? Is because right now the people that are coming into the industry or coming into these industries or whatever it may be, because some people will say that nobody will have any jobs in like 10 years, right? They're like robots will be able to pressure wash in 3 years, 5 years, people will be able, AI will be able to do marketing. I have my whole other spill on that. I'm not saying that I'm not preparing for that stuff, but what people don't understand is that anybody that's getting into this 3, 4, 5 years from now, they're at a disadvantage. And why is that? Because you knew how to think before AI, right? So now that you have it, it's like you can weaponize it even more. You know what I mean? Because now you know the intricacies. You know the little things that before AI could do that, you're like, okay, other people may not get that opportunity to think as much as we had to, like
Yeah.
even like 5 years ago, right? Starting this to where you're like, man, I really have to think about this. And so I tell everybody, like, be blessed about where you're at right now with this kind of stuff because you're kind of, and we're kind of in the middle of it, like the infancy of it, but also we knew life before it, right? It's just like right now, people back then probably could memorize people's phone numbers, I can't even remember. I only know my mom's, my dad's, my girlfriend's, and I don't know anybody else's phone number, right? So if something happened to me, I'm like, oh man, I can only call my parents or my girl. That's it. So I look at it like that to where people have that stuff. But yeah, man, but I really appreciate having you on. I know you're a busy guy. I wanted to keep this. And is there anything else that you want to share as well, Josh?
No, I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit of my story with your influence and folks that you're making a difference in their lives. And just to your point, I know there's older individuals in their 70s and they still eat squirrel.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a squirrel?
I've never had a squirrel in my life. I never have. Have you?
I have. I was trained how to clean a squirrel.
Okay.
Um, Tastes like chicken wings. And what you said a few minutes ago about there's power in the ability to know how to do things before AI, because there will come a time if we're only dependent upon AI, we don't even know how we got there. And so whether it's cleaning or field dressing or whatever it is, it's a superpower to learn a trade. And so anyway, just thank you so much again for letting me be a guest on your podcast.
I know. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day when it comes to that. I know you're a very busy man, and I think that your story needs to be shared, and I think more people need to know about the things that you're doing. So I really appreciate that. So guys, if you have any questions for us, please leave them in the description. Like I said, I will be leaving all of Josh's information in there. Where can people find you if they want to go ahead and find you, Josh? Where can they
Right
find?
now, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. I've got Mission Plan 316 Monday through Friday. I go live. You've been a guest on our show. We're going to
Yeah.
launch that this coming up week. Super excited about sharing that as well. But the best way to get our content is Brown's Pressure Washing YouTube channel, and then subscribe where we daily share different stories of different individuals in the trades that have started businesses.
Yep. So that is the easiest way. And one of the first things I'm gonna be doing is I'm subscribed under one of my anonymous accounts, but I will subscribe under Pressure Washing Marketing Pros as well. You know what I mean? So I am
Ooh.
subscribed under one of my like I call it like my just anonymous account in that sense, so where I just like look at all the videos because I have like four different YouTube accounts for four different things because the algorithm changes so much, right? So like in one thing you'll have an algorithm all about this, algorithm all about that, and I don't want to watch a video, because sometimes I don't watch the best of things. I'll watch some videos that, on YouTube that are just funny, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden that's just dominating my algorithm. I'm like, okay, I want to be business minded or like as spiritual minded. And so I have different channels for different things I want to look up. So Pressure Washing Marketing Pros, that one's like all business, but I'm still gonna go ahead and go subscribe after this. You know what I mean?
Thank you, brother. And I
Nope.
look forward to having you back on our podcast as well as we continue to scale and grow it out.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, thank you so much for your time, Josh, and thank you for everybody else that has been watching or listening. And if you guys have any questions, please leave them below. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Once again, thank you so much, Josh.